Thanks to Prem and Senthil, they've done 90% of my work. So sometimes, coming one down, opening batsman के बाद तो अच्छा रहता है. They have already scored a century, तो मेरा काम थोड़ा easy. It's become a little easy. But I'm just going to try and take you through some of the slides that I've prepared as to on SIF. And very important is that whatever was shared with you up till now, I agree to 90% of it. 10% I don't agree. So I'm going to dwell on that 10%, which I have a little different view. It's not that I don't agree. I have a little different view. So let's start, with the most important thing, that when SEBI introduced SIFs, there was a gap in the market. You had the traditional mutual funds and then you had the AIFs, CAT2. Traditional mutual funds, I don't need to explain to all of you, but CAT2 AIFs had long lock-in periods, lot of things not understood by the customers. Minimum ticket size was 1 crore. So, not available to everybody. There's no daily NAV, so nobody tracks what is happening. So you don't know how your AIFs are actually performing. And this gap was pretty significant. And what was happening is, as India grew richer, 10 lakhs is not a very big amount nowadays for many people. They have that easy amount of money to invest 10 lakhs. So this is a very good fit in the middle where investors want more exciting products as well as they want relative tax efficiency, which SIF gives as compared to AIFs. And also they don't want it so complex that you cannot understand it. So this pack came right in the middle, and I think this is something very good. But we misunderstand what is SIF completely. And let me try and explain this. This is actually the categorization of SIFs as per SEBI. So if you look at this, there are 3 broad categories and 7 strategies which are there. And every AMC can only have one product in each category. So I cannot launch 2 funds in the same category. I can launch one across each. So which means that every fund house can have maximum 7 strategies in SIF. As of now, at least that is the rule. Now, very important to know, the biggest mistake we will all make in this. Okay, and I'm not going through all the details because many of you have taken pictures, but there are some rules and restrictions, in terms of what you can do. So long shot, like all of you know, where you can go horribly wrong or you can do wonderfully right. Yeah, and I purposely use the word horribly wrong first. Okay, because many a time we only like to see the upside. We hate to see the downside, right? So if you get your call wrong when you're not covered, in an arbitrage fund you're covered, it's locked. So there's no chance of losing money. If you get your short call or long call wrong, you can lose a lot of money. And that is what SEBI keeps putting out this data, right? 90% of the investors have lost money. Be careful when you do FNO. It's something of that kind. So very important to note, and the biggest mistake we all sitting in this room will make is that, like in mutual funds, there is a large and mid-cap category. We just rank the funds, and Senthil showed the ranking of the funds, and we'll say this is number 1 and this is number 20. Correct? In SIF, each strategy from each mutual fund can be completely different. So you cannot compare those funds directly. Yeah, it will be incorrect because it will be like not comparing apples and oranges. Apples and oranges at least are same size. It will be comparing a banana with an apple. So you have to be very careful when you start comparing it purely on performance. But very important to note how these are structured. And I want to give, obviously, we have launched and possibly that's the reason you see the logo, which is not a HSBC mutual fund logo, but this is a SIF logo which we have put out there. And we are in that last category, which is hybrid long short fund. Now, in hybrid long short fund today, there are 9 schemes. 7 of them actually play long short, which means there is an element of risk in the fund because they are taking those calls. Obviously, if you get those calls right, like I said, you can get at it very, very good. So if a market is down 20%, your long short fund can be actually minus 5% because you are outperformed the market significantly. There are only two schemes which are playing debt, not equity at all. Although it's called the hybrid long short, you have a choice of doing 0 to 35-40% in long short. So we have chosen to be purely as a FD plus kind of a category, which is you cannot compare with the other debt long short. That's what I'm trying to say. Every fund house will be very different. So we have chosen to be the FD plus kind of a return in the debt long short because we are only doing covered arbitrage to give you the taxation benefit, and REITs, because REITs is considered equity. So if you do 35 to 40% of equity oriented investments, you get the benefit of equity taxation in a fund. So it's a very different product. Again, why I'm saying this is just to illustrate the point that not every scheme is comparable. So it's very important for us to know what are we talking about. Now, this is exactly the evolution, Early 90s to early 20s, most clients were FD, PPF, PF, small saving scheme, traditional government. Then they moved to debt-oriented and credit-oriented funds on the debt side. And now they are moving into AIF, PMS, etc. The adoption is going up. Now, one of the data which was presented earlier was pertaining to the fact that there are a lot of direct customers coming in and the proportion of direct customers is very high. Yes? Now, that is the data I disagree with. Okay, and now let me give you an explanation why I disagree with that data. The client wanted to put the money in the SIF because the client understood the product. The distributor was not certified. The client had no choice but to go direct. Do you understand what I'm saying? Had the distributor been certified, possibly the client would have still given the money to the distributor and the distributor would have earned his remuneration through that. The challenge is in India, we are so scared of exams. Yes or no? The laughter said it all, right? That when I talk to my friends who are distributors and I say, why haven't you given the examination for SIF? He says, fail ho jaunga to. So the fear of failure is so high because in Indian middle class and upper middle class, failure is not an option, right? You cannot fail in a subject. Have we been taught this by our parents, yes or no? Yeah, everybody is nodding. Nobody is saying yes. But that's the truth, right? So please understand one thing. There is a very easy way to pass the exam. You don't have to get afraid. The easy way to pass the exam is after you finish your course of studying for SIF, please give the examination within 3 to 4 days. If you do it after 15 days, I can guarantee you 90% of you will fail. If you do it within 3 to 4 days, 90% of you will pass. Okay, this is I am giving you a track record of my own team, which says, we'll give the exam, abhi ho gaya, we have studied the course, right? And people are wondering, why are we being taught currency derivatives? Because there is no product here which allows currency derivatives, but we are being forced to study currency derivatives. So there is a petition which has gone to SEBI saying, change the curriculum. In school, did you have a choice? If you did not like physics, did you have to do physics? Yes or no? Did you go to the teacher and say, change the curriculum? I don't understand this. Honestly, the more we learn in this business, the better it is for us. That is how this business is going to grow. In our industry, the best part of our industry is that if we stop learning, we stop growing. That's the truth. So if you have to do currency derivatives, no harm in doing currency derivatives. Just learn it. It's additional brain stimulation for you to do. So what is this gap that we are talking about? And this is actually what SIFs are trying to deliver. So on one side, you have your FDs, debt funds, credit risk funds, and you look at the return expectations. And then you have your CAT to AIS, which is expected to give higher returns. But obviously, there is more investment, the risks are higher, the credit risk is higher. We have tried to put it into low, medium, and high and very high. So what we are trying to say is that this gap which existed out there, that is the gap which SIFs are trying to fill. Whether you do a long short strategy, whether you do like the REDX, if you're doing the fixed income led strategy, whichever strategy you're using, you're trying to plug in that gap. So it's a very sweet spot that is available to all of us today. And all of you know that, and just be very honest to yourself, right? When you go and interact with people in a social gathering, 5-10 years back, you would say very proudly, you know what, I invested in this small cap fund and it's really done well, or XYZ, right? You would say that. Today, if you go and say that I invested in a large and mid cap fund or a small cap fund, 10 other people will say, yeah, I also have done it. So what is the excitement in that discussion, right? The excitement in the discussion is, if I go to a social gathering and say something like this, I did a dollar swap which was hedged against the oil futures, which went into UK and Venezuela only, something as exotic as that. The guys in front think that you are very smart. This is what I call cocktail conversation. I haven't understood the product, but I bought into it because it's nice to talk about. Now, SIFs actually fulfill that desire without making it too complex. SIFs actually are filling in the need to say that I invested in a smarter product. And nobody is going to say that this entire 100% will go into SIFs. Still 60-70% of the portfolios of all clients will remain in mutual funds. It's that additional 20-30% which will move into smarter products. And SIF is one of the smart products. Don't get it wrong. There'll be 10 other smarter products which will come. Okay? So that is how life is going to evolve for all of us. But clearly, it is going to find a place. My gut is very different from what many people are telling. Today, people believe the money from the mutual fund will move into SIF. Yes, that's what most people talk about, right? I believe the money from the AIF will actually move into SIF over a period of the next 2-3 years. As AIFs come in for maturity, a lot of AIFs are maturing in 28, 29. Instead of putting 1 crore in a single strategy and taking a risk on one strategy, I would rather put 20 lakhs in 5 strategies and diversify my risk for better taxation benefits also. So clearly that is what I see. Over a period of time, the mutual fund pie will grow. AIFs also will continue to grow, but AIFs will genuinely be done by super HNIs, and the rest of them would rather try and get this SIF in place. So I think this slide has been covered a lot in terms of what is the benefits by both Prem and Senthil. But what I wanted to really share out here is that very important to know that like SEBI governs everything and tightens the norms, there are very clear do's and don'ts in every SIF category that I showed you. So you cannot become a cowboy and put 75% into long short because it's capped at 25% for most of the strategies. So it cannot become super high risk. Okay? And I think these are the controls which are there. A lot of time people say, why is SEBI always tightening the norms? And it hurts us. There are a lot of issues which are there. My understanding of this is completely different. Had SEBI not tightened the norms across the last 10 years and made our products so transparent, more number of customers wouldn't have come to us. Today, let's be realistic. If you talk to any common investor, even in tier 4, tier 5 towns, he knows that mutual funds is extremely well regulated and very safe. At least nobody can run away with my money. That is the truth. Everybody knows that today. And that is why you are having, even in a bad year like 2025, you had nearly 7 to 8 lakh average new to industry customers come into mutual funds. So if you have 2 years of good market, you can imagine this number can go up to, easily 2 crores, not 1 crore we're talking about, 2 to 2.5 crores. So business for each one of you in this room is only going to multiply. The question is, are we prepared as distributors to grab that extra business which is going to come to this industry? I think that is the real question to ask. So are you ready to learn more? Are you ready to be more tech savvy so that you spend more time in business development and less time in servicing? Yeah, creating a team to help your business grow. I think that is very, very important. And let's see this. When this is a little bit about our fund, because we are, like I said, we are doing the FD plus kind of a return, which we want to give. If we look at the yield curve, a AAA typically will be around 7%. As compared to that, a AA minus or A would be around 9%. That is the yield gap which is available today. And not all A minus is bad. There are lots of A minuses which are relatively good. So one doesn't have to worry about that. So long as the fund managers have the expertise to choose credit quality and the right credit, I think it's not a concern today. So this is why I'm saying there is a massive opportunity. And even after these RBI measures were announced, there was some yield reduction which happened because there was a rally. But there is still a lot of opportunity which is there between the AAA and the A minus. So clearly, yield enhancing is something that we believe in. We believe that this is a great spot to be. There are a lot of people in these volatile times where geopolitics is playing such a large part, wars are playing such a large part. Every day the market depends on one person who gets up and sends something on the social media. The market can be 1.5% up or 1.5% down. So is India doing bad on the macroeconomy? I think this is the strongest macroeconomy we ever had in the last, since when I started my career. Despite that, the markets are supremely volatile. So many HNIs saying, I want to play it a little safe till things settle down. And that is why they are trying to find a product which is not the traditional fixed return product. This is not the equity volatility product, but something in middle, which is what the Red SIF is trying to achieve. So this is the gap that we are trying to address. And very important, this is again what we are trying to do. Very simply put, I think this has been shared. You have to look at 2-3 things. And this is something I just wanted to talk to all of you about. Please look at exit options, because not everybody has a daily exit option. Okay? It is very important to understand that, because otherwise it will be wrong communication to people. Okay? Exit options vary from strategy to strategy. Some are once a week, some are twice a week. In our case, it is once a week, but pay out after every 10 days. So there are various kinds of exit options. It is meant for protection of the investors and not any other reason. So this is something very important. But like I said, again, I'm trying to put it in various features from taxation to expense ratio, leverage, where it is allowed, where it is not allowed. You know, the entire spectrum is covered. Extremely important to know a very, very good product that is there. Most important for all of you, your clients are going to invest in SIFs. Now it's up to you whether you want to give the exam or not. It's as simple as that. Okay? You want to lose your client to some other distributor who's given the SIF exam? It's your problem in life. You want to lose your client to the direct plan, which they showed has grown significantly? That's your problem in life. But if you think that people are not going to move to SIFs, you're mistaken. So SIFs are going to grow significantly. And as we cross another 1 year, there'll be a track record. People will start evaluating how is the fund done. I can share with you in our case. I'm not going to name the distributor. There is one distributor who sold my NFO recently. And after the NFO, he actually came to me and I said, thank you. I said, why? He said, I needed this kind of a product which is between a fixed deposit and an equity. And I was able to get 90 new warm leads because I went and pitched this product to a large audience. So one of the points which Prem missed out in potential lists of clients are large family offices. Any industrialist, and Bangalore is famous for being entrepreneurial hub, and many of these guys have sold their businesses and earned 2, 300, 500, 700,000 crores. They then set up a small family office. All family offices want this kind of a product because family offices genuinely follow something called asset allocation. I mean, Manoj is here, he's on the next panel, he will talk about it. The richer you are, the more you follow asset allocation. The poorer you are more into equity. That's the truth. And then those who are not in this business at all are only into fixed income, which is your FDs and savings account. So that's how this is. But thank you very much. Of course, I have to show the compliance slide. Otherwise, my compliance guy I will not be the CEO tomorrow morning. So nobody clicked the picture of this. I'm very disappointed. So thank you very much, everyone. And wishing you all the best for a fantastic balance 6 months in this year and the years to come. Thank you.